Hi folks, it's Danny at Bradley James Classics, and today's classic is the unmistakable sight of the Range Rover P38. This one's from 2001. It's a special edition car, and I'm going to apologise in advance that the number plate has some strange markings on where the previous number plate had been stuck on with some double-sided tape. So the first thing I've noticed is my Valentin guy hasn't remove that. I'll go and deal with him later. But other than that, I think you'll find this car is especially extremely clean and tidy example of a car which is remarkably somehow just over 20 years old. Now the car itself is a special edition. They made 200 of these, and this one's simply referred to as the Range Rover Bordeaux. It's a P38A, which is pretty much the final run of a P38 before the Land Rover L322 came along. Now, it's pretty much based on the Land Rover HSE specification, which was a range topping spec from Land Rover. However, there are some additions to that specification that make this one quite unique, and the fact that only 200 were made, I think this car bodes well for either a collector of Land Rovers, Range Rovers, or just an extremely smart example. So the differences are actually covered by a rather smart little brochure, which remarkably has remained with this car, and it comes with the car. This just explains that you get a handful of little extras over and above the HSE spec. So it's in a unique colour. So Aveston red paint, which is a metallic paint. It's a little different from the Rioja red, which other Land Rovers would have been painted in. It looks very grand. It is colour coded. You'll notice that the front bumpers, the door mirrors down at the bottom of the doors where the seals are, that's all painted red. And we're going to go around the back and you'll see that rear bumper is red too. Uniquely, this particular car does come with the Pro Sport alloy wheels, and they also have a little red in them. So if you like red, you're going to be okay with the Bordeaux edition. In fact, even Bordeaux, I think that's a red wine, isn't it? So red carpets as well, which we'll have a look at in a minute. They look especially nice, very posh finish to them. The car itself has clearly been very well loved and looked after. Obviously, in keeping with a car of 20 years, there are one or two marks in the bodywork, but nothing I would describe as any major dents or rust or deep gouges and scratches. It's very genuine, and it has clearly, as I say, been well loved. It's certainly been very well maintained and serviced. There's a set of matching tyres on the car. They're all in excellent condition. You can see the word Conqueror, and never a great one for recognising different brands of tyres. Is that, yeah, I think they may be Goodyears looking at that one up there. And they're all in excellent condition. Now the car itself has been extremely well maintained, and I've just made a little note here of some of the more recent expenditure, having chatted to the previous owner in some detail about his car. Now, during lockdown, I think he took the opportunity to work out a few little jobs that needed doing, and was never happy with the heater performance, so the car had a new heater matrix fitted in 2020, had a new exhaust system fitted in 2021. The air suspension was fully overhauled with replacement components in 2021 as well, and also the air conditioning was overhauled in 2020. So you can imagine there's a few grand's worth of work has been done just with that little lot. So as I say, very much a up together and well maintained car. Visually it looks very striking because of the colour coordination. It looks to have sort of a black roof, red at the bottom, and of course it wraps around really well with those tinted windows. The other thing about the Bordeaux edition is the unique well, I say unique, but special edition has these red carpets, which are really lovely. I'm not aware of other Range Rovers having them. You get these red piped seats, and those seats are in great condition, considering the car has actually travelled 115,000 miles. Here's the lovely dashboard. We've got a upgraded Pioneer stereo, which has got a fold-out screen, and if you use the correct app, you can connect your phone. And I understand mapping comes through your phone, your smartphone. That was demoed to me. And a press of a button, as I say, the screen comes out. The air conditioner is all fully working, and that's the big, handsome steering wheel. You'll see these door cards are in excellent condition. I've just got a bit of a foot mat in there, but you can see all the carpets are very nice. Seats look to move back and forward with this button electronically. Let's have a look in the back as well. There's those red carpets and the piping. All the seats are in lovely condition. Now, a big thing with Land Rovers, that rear section of the headlining all looks good and correct. They are absolutely renowned for their ability to sag down. It's nice that the rear cover for the boot area is current. Often they're missing. And we've got a fold down centre armrest in the middle and deep pockets here. And moving on to deep pockets, it's time to introduce the engine. This is a 4-litre V8. Now, being a later car, BMW's involvement was present around the time these cars were produced. So they actually use the same Motronic BMW engine management system, which is known to be pretty reliable. In fact, if you were choosing which one to have, I think you would go with the BMW system. The car didn't actually have any advisories, by the way, in its last MOT. I've just made a couple of notes here, which is a great thing for a 20-year-old plus Range Rover. So no sign of any corrosion. We've had the opportunity to look at the car on our ramp. Thankfully, the P38 Range Rover, I think they were produced to a slightly better level from a chassis engineering point of view when it comes to rust. Generally speaking, they're pretty sound. This one is particularly good, rock solid. As I say, no mention of any corrosion on that past MOT, or indeed MOTs generally. Just a real nice, solid example. So I will go around the car really slowly so you can have a look at the bodywork, but if you can just sort of take it as read that it does present extremely well. I mean, it could be taken to the next level with a real super duper detailed valet, but in honesty, we've just found it necessary to give the car a wash and a wipe over and a hoover. It was in good condition when it came to us. This car's never had a tow bar fitted, by the way. How about that for a Range Rover? And that can be changed, of course, because it's not tricky to retrofit a Range Rover, but I think that sort of gives you an idea of perhaps it's had lighter duties than some. I've just pulled the bonnet catch, and with my other hand I'm going to attempt to do the one-hand opening, which isn't too bad. And there we have that glorious V8, and if we get in there we can see those plug leads look pretty new. That alternator's right up here, and it's all present and correct. Fine, that's where the air suspension pump lives in there. Air filter here, and a pretty large battery sits there. So no warning lights, no issues, no problems of any issues with suspensions. Not at all. It all is very, very solid, ice cold air conditioning for a really well maintained car. Now, it is a Y Reg 2001, and as I say, you've got a couple of marks on the front bumper where the front number plate where the private plate had been stuck. Well, all I can say really is the car does need to be seen, tested and approved to make sure you're as keen on this one as I am. We've had our fair share of P38s in our time. We're a big fan of these older Range Rovers. I think people who own newer models sort of want to hark back to simplicity of some of the older ones. I've got to say the reliability and reputation of some later models hasn't been the greatest. I think the P38, as long as you make sure these are well maintained, maybe you've got a local Range Rover specialist to help you with expert servicing and keeping these fine cars in great fettle. They drive wonderfully well, and actually with this mileage I think you find this one does still have quite a lot of life left in it. Now we can organise full UK delivery of this particular Range Rover. We are up and down the country all the time. We can take your existing classic, modern or light commercial car as a part exchange, and we are based in the North Hampshire countryside in Overton. We have our own garage, so we have the ability to make sure all the cars are fully checked over, and we conduct a thorough PDI before they go out, so when they leave us and arrive with you, or you come and collect them, they're good to go. Well, I can't think of a great deal else that I need to tell you about this Range Rover, other than the fact that I promised you a nice slow walk around. The car does come with 2 keys. One is, well, it looks brand new and it doesn't look like it's ever been used. It does come with its handbook, dealer handbook and service book. I think I'd mentioned this Pioneer stereo, and hopefully you're going to be intrigued enough to see what happens when I give that button a press. Look at that. I like a gadget. So this is the stereo just popping up. And then depending on what button you press, you've got some apps. It looks like a touch screen, I assume. Oh. And yes, depending what mode you put in. I know at least a radio works because I witnessed that myself. Oh, it is touch screen, so it's gone on to Bluetooth. It is possible to pair your phone through there, and there it is, tucking away. There we are. So a final look round inside. We have an electric sunroof in this model. Very nice and airy in here because of the nice, I think they call this limestone or light stone cream leather, with armrests, very comfy inside. You can probably hear the fan going. This one is an automatic. It's a 4-speed auto ZF gearbox, and unlike the earlier Range Rovers, you actually have a switch and like a H gate to operate high and low gears. All of that is working very well. You have the ability to put the car into as a sport mode, which are working very well. You have electric adjusting mirrors, and as you would expect, electric windows all round. Everything we've tested has worked. Now, let's walk around, starting from the back end. That's a good panel. I've got a little mark here. This rear panel is in good order. Very minor little dent here. Getting close. The back bumper all looks good, as does this rear panel and rear arches. As you can see, all down there is in rather lovely condition. These alloy wheels look good. Chunky tyres all look to be in good order. These doors are in good order. Colour-coded mirrors. Bumper wing. Nice paint. You've got a few stone chips on this grille, as you would expect. This is all colour-coded, obviously. Looks rather smart. I did tell you about the marks on here where we had another number plate. We've got a bit of a chip here. Some little stone chips. So I've got a few marks on this particular wing here. Nothing too drastic. And then a few marks. If I'm being very fussy on this mirror. This front wing otherwise is good, as is the driver's side door and the passenger rear door. And there she is all on top. And one final little sweep round, so we can say we've spent 15 minutes looking at this P38 Bordeaux Special Edition Range Rover from 2001. Only 200 of them made. This one's had in recent times rather a lot of money spent on it, just improving some of the systems, including the air suspension, air conditioning, heater matrix, and just generally keeping the car in good fettle. The previous owner has only parted with this car because he's just bought a much newer Range Rover, and he had owned this car for 5 years. It hasn't had many owners. I think there's been a total of 3, which actually over a car that's just over 20 years is pretty respectable, I think. No tow bar, which is a drag for some, but for others maybe it's a sign that it's had lighter duty than some. 4-litre V8 petrol engine, super powerful. Not the most economical vehicle on the road. If you're looking for fuel economy, don't be buying a Range Rover. Knowing Range Rovers as we do, I think you find the 2.5 diesel, which has got a BMW engine in them, not the fastest car on the road, however adequate performance if you're looking for some real performance and towing capabilities, bearing in mind you'd have to add the tow bar, but I think the petrol V8 is the one that you'd go for every time. I hope my walk around video has given you a fair idea of the condition. I've given you a chat about this model. I've told you that it comes with its dealer handbook, 2 sets of keys, no known issues, no warning lights. We have this fancy Pioneer upgraded stereo. You've got Harman Kardon speakers built up there, so I'm assuming being the HSE top of the range model with a few extras to make the special edition. It's got quite a decent sound to it. Automatic gearbox, a real genuine good car to drive. I've loved driving it this morning, and we have her in stock now. Well folks, that's Danny at Bradley James Classics signing out.